Throughout the history of gaming, there has been a lot of, well, both inspired games as well as blatant copies. And some of these can range from just the same COD happening year after year to having some really unique and interesting games like Skyrim or the first God of War. However, more and more, it seems like games in some ways are becoming a lot more like each other, and in other ways are becoming totally unique. It seems more and more that games are willing to just go fit themselves into a category or try off-the-wall things to see what sticks. A lot of the times, we're seeing the real testing new grounds category happening in the indie gaming sphere more than anything, unless we're talking about something like FromSoft. But when it comes to large titles and creators and gaming companies, FromSoft is definitely one of the more rare ones. But let's take a look at a company like Bethesda. Many can argue that their games have been fantastic, and many can argue that their games have been absolutely terrible. Depending on who you ask, you'll get a very different answer each time. From games like Skyrim to Fallout, there has been a lot of their games that have made really big dents in the overall gaming culture, and a lot of them also have dropped unfinished and really had a lot of game-breaking issues. The Fallout series, for example, has been plagued by all sorts of weird controversies and issues. Fallout 76, as of recently, has been revealed also to have had severe mismanagement during crunch time, as well as just all sorts of other weird shit that happened. For example, there was like a canvas bag, I guess, that was being given in one of these special editions of Fallout 76, and then they replaced it with a nylon bag at the last moment and didn't say anything until everybody complained. Weird shit like this has been plaguing Bethesda since, well, as long as I could remember. So how the fuck did they come out with one of the most interesting and unique games that I've seen as of late, especially one that is so well polished and plays like so fun? I'm of course talking about HiFi Rush, an action-adventure rhythm game that follows a guy named Chai who wants to be a rock star and gets his arm replaced with a special guitar-playing master arm, who then is deemed a defect by the evil corporation that made him to begin with, and they try to take him out. You then go through 12 different levels representing the 6 different bosses that you will come across that are the various heads of the overall Vanderlei Corporation. Basically, what we want to do here is take out the evil Kale, who has been ruining the environment and causing all sorts of really depressed robots to lose their jobs. This game is super stylistic and is a cross between sometimes 3D anime and comic book style is the best way I could probably describe it. The environments really pop and are very different, and all of the bosses have some pretty unique and fun, interesting mechanics. A lot of the various robots that you'll come across along the way are kind of just similar in moveset. However, there's enough variation in the type of robot and the way that they fight to keep the fun high. There's also a lot of very kid-friendly but adult-themed in some ways humor, such as like hating your job or wanting to kill your bosses. There's a lot of really fun stuff in this one. But again, how the fuck did Bethesda end up here with this? Well, basically, it looks like a subsidiary of Bethesda called Tango Gameworks, which was responsible for Ghostwire Tokyo, as well as Evil Within 1 and 2. It looks like this subsidiary is the reason that we got this game. And basically, it seems like one of the people within the team here wanted to make this game and had the idea for this game since they were a teenager. And that real love for this idea and love for gaming is what seemingly allowed for such a spontaneous and creative game. It also looks like all of the moons just aligned for HiFi Rush. In some ways, it seemed like the moons were in complete disalignment, considering that the game was regularly pushed back, and also the game wasn't even announced until the beginning of 2023, where it was spontaneously released and later on was put onto Game Pass for everybody to enjoy. And honestly, it was the fact that this game was a while in development and then regularly pushed back that probably allowed it to not have to deal with much crunch, and it seems like for this reason, that's how we ended up getting such a polished game by the time it was ready to spontaneously release. If you match this up to some other games in the AAA space and how they've released, you can see that this probably was the best way to go, because when you have games like Cyberpunk 2077, for example, that had a very specific release date in mind, they weren't able to just get that game out because they already had overcommitted themselves and had way too many bugs in the game, but again, had committed to this date already. That leaves the developers to be in a bad place with their team, having to put them into intense crunch times, and also makes it so that you're just gonna have to overlook certain things in order to get that specific date. So HiFi Rush not having to, comply with this as most games would, seems to have definitely given it a leg up. And honestly, I hope we do see more of this style of creating games. Hopefully we can see more teams having certain ideas within that are kept on the low, so that teams can go ahead and develop and flesh those out without having to stick to such an extreme deadline and end up with an unpolished product. But what do you guys think? Have you guys enjoyed HiFi Rush? Do you think this is one of Bethesda's better releases as of late? What other stuff would you like us to talk about here on the channel? Definitely let us know in the comments down below, and you can also follow us and like for more content like this in the future, as well as there's all sorts of our other various social media links in the description down below. Alright guys, well that'll do it for today's episode of Gamin Sessions, and I will see you all next time.
Space out of my head to the depths of the universe. It's a spell or a chance just to open up a newer